Hello and welcome back. We are going to try something different. Dad thinks that we should release the Hugh Dempsey interviews by themselves. I don't think so. I think we should hang on to them. But I cannot deny the fact that my point of view might harm and hamper the importance of Hugh Dempsey and his significance to the First Nations people and the Treaties 6, 7, and 8 peoples that define the fragile relationship between the Crown and the First Nations people. Signature Air is a fixed air operator and is a world leader in large network of private aviation terminals. In 1968, Signature Air was the main air terminal for Calgary Airport, and on November 30th, 1968 at 11:45 p.m., I stepped off of an Air Canada flight onto the tarmac. What could I possibly know about the abolition of Indigenous people and the termination of Indigenous languages? And it would take another 40 years before we found out about the unmarked graves and the torture at residential schools across Canada. I don't have any Indigenous friends, maybe one, he was my boss, but I don't have anyone else. But I could always tell that there was something wrong and problematic with the treatment of Indigenous people around me. But it is evident that to this day the relationship is strained. So I would now like to present Hugh Dempsey.
Yeah, over the years I've met some absolutely wonderful Native people. A number of names, a number of people come to mind. I remember a man who was blind. His name was Bobtail Chief, and he sat in his little one-room shack that was laid out just like a teepee. He sat near the back. His altar was in front of him. I had to come in and sit to the left of him. That's where guests sat. His wife and family sat on the other side of the room. And he sat, and with my father-in-law interpreting, he started telling these stories about his life as a young man and how he became so close to my father-in-law's family. By this time I had married Pauline Gladstone, and James Gladstone was my father-in-law. And apparently one day, very early on, my father-in-law was riding along the fence line in his to check on cattle, and he found Bobtail Chief, who had been thrown from his horse and landed on the barbed wire fence and was hanging on the fence in serious condition. So he took him off the fence, loaded him on his horse, took him home, and Bobtail Chief spent the rest of the winter as a guest and friend of the Gladstones. Well, later that year, now this is the 1920s when everybody was poor. Later that year, this great big car with Montana license plates drove up. And this man got out, a big husky man, and said, "Hello, my name is Charlie Rivas. I'm Bobtail Chief's brother, and I want to thank you for what you did to him." And right away he adopted my father-in-law as his son. And for the rest of the time that I had any involvement, the Rivases were always considered to be relatives of the Gladstone family. So he was one of many. There were others who helped the family in many ways, people who gave honorary names to the family. My children, when the twins were born, our youngest, Leah and Lois, a man by the name of Jack Lowhorn, who became a friend of mine, stopped me and he says, "Dempsey, I reserve the right to name your children." So, by native custom, that was it. Nobody else could name them because he had gone on record. So it was a year or so later at the Sundance when we came, and he said, "Come over to our place, to our teepee." And we went over, and he was there with his brother Jim. And so he said, Jim and I are going to name your children. Your one child, Leah, is going to be called Akatsumyaki, meaning many headdress woman. And their lowest, youngest, is Natuit Samyaki, which is holy headdress woman. So those were the two of our 5 children who received native names. Native names are very important in our family. Very early on, my wife and I and her dad and Joe Bullshields were going to an Indian Association meeting. So Joe Bullshields said, hey, Dempsey, do you have a name yet? And so I said, no, I don't. So I was driving, he was in the back seat, so he said, well, I'm giving you the name of Pixini, which means thin person. And I said, that's right. And he said, here, I'm going to give you the name. And he went, and he made a motion to throw it. And I had to make a motion to take the name. So that became my family name. And then later on, when I was inducted as a member, an honorary chief of the Blood tribe, I was given the name of Potena, which means flying chief, which was the name of my wife's grandfather. So I was extremely honored to have that. And so it went with the family. When our oldest boy was of age, he was taken in hand by Pat Bad Eagle, a member of the Pagan tribe. And Pat also reserved the right to name him. And when they got together, then he named him. So of our children, the oldest, James, when he came of age, Pat Bad Eagle, a member of the Pagan tribe, reserved the right to name him and gave him the name of High Otter, Kitsamonisi. Then later on came Louise, our daughter, and Pauline's aunt, Suzette Eagle Ribs, gave her the name of Double Gun Woman. Natsikapoy Namiaki. Then the third was John, the youngest boy, and he was named by a very famous individual, Ben Kaffrobe. Was given the name of Medicine Pipe Rider, Ninapskokitopi, which was Ben Kaffrobe's own name when he was a young man. So each of our children had names, and we have been very proud of them.